Thanks for coming on a virtual tour of Smith Meadows and Smithfield Farm Bed and Breakfast. Whether you're watching from home or walking around the farm, these short videos are our way of welcoming you to the northern Shenandoah Valley. My name is Forrest Pritchard. I'm a 7th generation grass farmer and author of Gaining Ground, a story of local food, farmers markets, and saving the family farm. Join me as we visit the animals, discuss our farming philosophies, as well as meet the rest of my family, all of whom work on the farm. So either get comfortable or put on your walking shoes and join me as we take a real live tour of a working farm. We're out here on pasture with 1,300 chickens. I'll let her go. A lot of people ask me, what's it like having 1,000 chickens out here? How is that possible? Well, like we tell our customers at Farmers Market, just come out and visit the farm, see for yourself. The chickens like to be in big flocks. It gives them protection. But the biggest trick of having this many birds is we're constantly moving them. Fresh pasture, rotation. Just like birds would in nature, when you see them flying across the sky in flocks, our chickens obviously aren't going to fly south through the winter, but we're going to move them south, north, east, west, all around the farm. Where I'm sitting right here is a polyface style eggmobile. About 100 boxes down each side, plenty of room for the hens to lay their eggs. From 1,300 chickens right now, we're getting about 850 eggs a day. Works out to be about 75%. People ask, how many eggs does a chicken lay every day? Well, it's a trick question. A chicken lays about 5.5 eggs a week. We keep our chickens about 2 to 3 years before they become spin hens. They just naturally stop laying, at which point they become soup chickens, going to chicken pot pies. So these are all dual purpose chickens. They're going to spend their time out here laying, walking around eating bugs, enjoying the sunshine, and laying some of the finest eggs you're ever going to eat. All our animals on the farm, their health comes back to one very important thing. Everything starts with the soil. We'll keep talking about the soil as we visit each place where the animals are. With the chickens, of course, they're omnivores. We can hear them singing and we think they're very gentle and very nice and all these things, but just don't be a grasshopper or an earthworm and you'll be okay. Our chickens are going to eat a diverse spectrum of food. Of course, we're going to give them a little bit of chicken feed, which is mostly going to be some wheat and a little bit of cracked corn. We use a non-GMO ration on our farm. But on top of that, they're going to forage for whatever they can get. Pasture being very important here. We'll look in the background and be able to see them actually grazing, just like our cows and sheep, and later on our pigs will be doing. All that feed that they eat, what becomes of that? Well, part of it turns into eggs. The other part becomes chicken manure, goes right onto the ground, and completes a cycle of fertility. We're going to grow more pasture without manure spreader, without chemical fertilizers, without any herbicides or pesticides, and we're going to promote natural fertility for our true grazers, our sheep and our cattle. But what's really important, and what everybody really likes, is a fresh egg. Whether you've got one chicken or over 1,000 like we do here at Smith Meadows, it's important that the birds are protected. They're more or less defenseless. So as you'll notice in the background, we use electrified netting. We get this product either from Premier or Kenco. It's just step-in posts that we put into the ground with a light current that runs through it. It's not intended so much to have the chickens stay in as it is to keep predators out. We have coyotes, foxes, wild dogs, raccoons, possums, skunks. Everything loves to eat chicken. As for the aerial predators, our hawks, eagles, owls, things like that, we try to stay far away from tree lines. Owls and hawks like to sit in trees and kind of observe the surroundings. So moving the birds isn't just great for nutrition and pasture management and fertilization, but it's also a great anti-predatory tool that we've got in our agricultural toolbox. Welcome to our pastures. The key to everything that we do is soil fertility. And these animals give us the best chance to do that. What you're looking at right here is what's called a mob graze. We have the animals intentionally brought together to graze a small portion of pasture for about 12 to 24 hours. by emphasizing rotation of the herd and then rest of the pasture, we're going to do many things. We're going to put additional carbon in the ground. We're going to have concentrated amounts of manure, urine, trampled weeds, grasses, and legumes, clovers and alfalfas. And then we're going to rest it. These animals won't be back on this particular piece of pasture for 45 days. We're going to keep soil conditions cool, soil temperatures cool, by putting a cover with all this vegetation over top of it. We're going to reduce parasite loads by giving the pasture plenty of opportunity for the parasites to go away naturally. And if we look in the background too, we can see this time of year the cowbirds are moving in. They're going to sit on top of the cows and eat the flies right off their backs. So on a sustainable farm, there's so many natural mechanisms we can use to accentuate what Mother Nature gives us without pesticides, herbicides, commercial fertilizers, and sprays. Of course, another important part of being a grass farm is having sheep on the farm. Sheep are herbivores, good complementary grazers to our cattle. We primarily raise a breed called Katahdins, which are our hair sheep. The Katahdins are a breed that were developed in the 1960s in the Katahdin mountain ranges of Maine. As the textile industries and wool was going out of business, a clever breeder decided to start raising hair sheep, sheep that would shed off their wool and be more of a meat variety. So as we can see in the background back here, we have about 200 head of Katahdins, and we cross them with another hair sheep, a Dorper, to make a nice meaty lamb. Sheep are excellent complementary grazers to our cattle. Not only do they prefer to eat slightly different species, thus encouraging lots of even grazing across the pasture, they're dead-end parasite hosts for each other. So as sheep and cattle ingest parasites, which is a natural part of grazing, the parasites that are harmful to each other's species dead end in the sheep and the cattle respectively. So by complementary grazing each other, we get less parasites on the pasture. Of course, when people think about lamb, they often associate it with spring lamb. What a lot of folks don't know is about 75% of our lamb is imported from the southern hemisphere, Australia and New Zealand in particular. Those lambs, of course, are being born in the fall and then transported across the Pacific Ocean in the spring, and that's been going on for the last 100 years, which is the main reason why we have spring lamb. On our farm, we follow the natural seasons, and we actually have our lambing season in the spring, and our lambs are ready in the fall and winter. It takes us about 9 to 10 months to finish a lamb fully on pasture. So if you really want to be eating seasonally in the northern hemisphere, we want to be having our lamb probably in October and November, and less around the Easter season, as is traditional. So we're out here in the middle of a pasture. We have some sheep in the background. The cows have just come through here and grazed. And right in the middle of it all, we've got about 60 hogs. This is where our hog shelters will be, our water, and where the pigs can come to get shade year-round and protection from the elements. Where we get into the grazing is every 2 weeks. We give a fresh slice of pasture, just like pie slices. It'll look like a big pizza by the time we're done. Across the course of the year, we'll rotate all the way around like hands on a clock, making sure that as the pigs root, the pasture has time to recover. That as they put manure on the field, that has time to turn into fertilizer for our grass, for our cows and our sheep. Once the year is over, up comes the entire area. We move it to a fresh 15-acre block, and we start the process all over again.
Hello and welcome to Smithfield Farm. My name is Ruth Pritchard, and my daughter Betsy and I run the bed and breakfast part of the farm. I'm seated here on the front porch of the main house, which I like to call the centerpiece of the farm. It was built in 1824. The farm has been in our family since 1816, so we are coming approximately 200 years. The architectural style of the house is called Tidewater Federal, which is basically a large center hall flanked on either side with 1 or 2 rooms deep, both upstairs and down. The brick was made on the place, just below the brick barn, hand-fashioned, and the old kiln is still visible by the burned bricks and the old broken bricks that are still in the ground from where the kiln used to be. The 2 houses on either side are the summer kitchen cottage and the schoolhouse. The summer kitchen cottage, which is one of our guest houses, was finished in the winter of 1845-46, approximately 25 years after the main house. The idea, of course, was to get the heat and mainly the fire out of the house as much as possible. The danger of fire was constantly imminent because of you were on your own. There was nobody going to come to help put it out. You were too far from any volunteer fire people at the time. The same with the schoolhouse. When you were too far from town, you were on your own for educating the children. And the answer to that was to hire itinerant teachers. So the neighborhood families would get together and hire folks who came to teach, but you had to house and feed them, and so that became the reason for the schoolhouse. We were about to celebrate our 200th anniversary, so take a break from everyday life and come see us at Smithfield Farm. Come stay for the weekend, come stay for a week. Come shop at our farm store or one of our farmers markets in the DC or in local areas. We look forward to having you.
Welcome to Smithfield Farm. It's so nice to have you today. My name is Betsy Pritchard. You met my mother, Ruth Smith Pritchard, on the porch earlier. We're delighted to have you visit our bed and breakfast and our farm. We're glad you're here to rest and rejuvenate. As a guest, when you arrive at Smithfield Farm, we will go ahead and give you this brief tour. We're standing here in our main hallway, or our foyer. Beside me are elliptical columns that are very unusual to this area. They're on the front porch, they're here in the archway, and then they repeat again in our gazebo out back where you can do some more relaxing. We have 4 rooms here on the main floor. Our dining room, where we serve breakfast. A service hallway where there'll be snacks will be located for you and drinks. And the next room is going to be our library, and that will have the television and some books on some local history and some things to do here in the area. The dining room here at Smithfield is where our guests enjoy breakfast that's served daily here, and you come down and you have your own coffee and your tea service, and then we'll be serving you breakfast from products right here that have been grown on the farm, whether it's our maple smoked sausage, or our ham, or our fresh eggs. Around the room, we're going to have some glass in this room that is original to the house. The mantle behind me is a Winchester shelf mantle that was made here on the farm down at the barn. Our final room on this floor is going to be our parlor, and that will contain area guides for our restaurants. We have a nice variety of restaurants here in Clark County and the surrounding area. And then also we're on the Virginia Birding and Wildlife Trail, so it will talk a little bit about our bird watching here on the farm. We do have working fireplaces that repeat throughout the guest rooms for our wintertime use. The house is fully air conditioned. People do ask me that because it is an 1824 house, but we did put air conditioning in 1998, so you are in complete comfort regardless of what season you come and visit us. We love what we do, and we sure hope you come and stay with us and enjoy our farm and relax and rejuvenate here with us. The Pritchard family is always happy to see you.
This is our commercial kitchen, and it's also where our farm store is.
Smith Meadows Kitchen is housed in a brick tenement building that dates to the 19th century. There is a central fireplace that's double-sided, so we believe that 2 families used to live here.
At the farm store, you can buy cuts of frozen meat, sauces, empanadas, pot pies, and all sorts of tasty treats.
We have some tabletop pasta machines. They were made in Italy, and we brought them here in 2003 when I started the commercial kitchen. We make all of our pasta on this laminating machine. It's made with eggs from our farm as well as locally produced flours.
We produce handmade pasta, ravioli,
Chicken pot pies. We also make sauces and soups from local ingredients that are seasonal, depending on what people are looking for and what's growing in Virginia during that time of the year.
If no one's here to greet you at the store, you may leave your cash, money, or charge it. We operate on an honesty policy, and we look forward to seeing you on the farm. After you're done making your purchases, take a tour of the farm and see how the animals live out on the open pasture.